since ChatGPT is so powerful right now, do we still need Siri? Maybe we don't need Apple phones, iPhones.
Apple is not going to want responsibility for that. Everybody, welcome to TechVenture Live, episode 4. This is Hanley Leung, your ex-EA, ex-Apple software engineering lead. And today we have with us Roger Yang, VR, AR, and AI entrepreneur, co-founder of Migo Studios.
Hello,
Roger,
everyone. Glad to be here. Finally, we're doing this podcast. My first question is to you. You worked for Apple before, right? So the first question is, since ChatGPT is so powerful right now, do we still need Siri?
Disclaimer, of course, I'm ex-Apple, worked at Apple, but I don't speak for them at all. I have no inside information. I didn't work in the
Sure.
So these are just my personal thoughts. You asked, do we need Siri anymore? I think the first thing would say we don't even need Siri now.
Okay,
I think
I still use it for alarm settings.
I think most people, that's like when you're cooking, right? Set me a 5-minute alarm because your hands are full.
Right.
I think most probably, I don't even know what the percentage would be, totally guessing, but I'm guessing well over 90% of people like never use Siri. Maybe they let it read their notifications or something, but they don't interact with voice very much. Your question wasn't about ragging on Siri. I could rag on Siri for a year. Does ChatGPT replace the need for Siri? Interesting.
Or virtual assistants, right? Like the next generation of virtual assistants.
Yeah, I would say if it is replacing it, then that means it's the same, because you're basically saying, does ChatGPT make you not need the voice interface to iPhone? Because that's what Siri is. I think Siri's, like we said, it's already not needed. It's already outdated, right? It's already dead, right?
Right.
The only question is the new generation of voice interface to iPhone is going to be called Siri, or is Apple going to call it something else? And is it possible that Apple is going to give up that whole voice interface to ChatGPT or OpenAI? Boy, no, let's just assume no. Apple's going to fight tooth and nail to redefine that voice interface and own that. So the question is with how good ChatGPT is it possible that people just stop using any Apple voice interface and they just use ChatGPT instead? I don't see that happening anytime soon. I guess my thinking is that, first of all, a lot of people aren't using ChatGPT still. A lot of us tech are, of course, but there are a lot of people that aren't. And then the people that are, I doubt many people are connecting plugins and services like to ChatGPT. They're just using a basic chatbot. So even if a lot of people do, that means ChatGPT will have access to your connect online accounts to, but there's a lot of stuff on your phone that isn't on your online account or don't have APIs that can connect to ChatGPT, and that'll be a long time. So I assume Apple's personal assistant is going to have access to everything on your phone, or at least selectively access to your phone. And that's something that ChatGPT is not going to have for a while. It's not going to have that same level of robust information. It'll have some of it, but it won't have as much. I don't see them blowing Apple, Siri, whatever voice interface to iPhone is, replacing that in the next near future, meaning the next 3 years, 5 years probably.
My thinking, another thing is maybe virtual assistant is one thing. Another thing is the reason that we use AIs, or those, the reason we use AI so often, so much more today is because there's a trend that AI might replace all the apps, because the apps are actually just interfaces that we give input and then we get responses, we get the result, right? And then AI can help us and save the process of all this UI, right? You give your questions and then it will reply with the answers much more directly. So the question is, maybe we don't need all these apps. And then the long-term question would be, maybe we don't need Apple phones, iPhones, right? So any phone that can access AI would do, right? So I mean, in the long term, is Apple going to be destroyed by OpenAI or by AI?
You're defining iPhone by the touch screen and app interface, basically. I agree with you. I think that's I wouldn't say it's going away, but it's definitely going to lose importance over the next decade. Right now, humans using computers, you think you have a thought of something you want to do, and then you yourself have to match that to what apps you have available to it. And then you have to slowly map and work your way through the maze to kind of get to the functionality to do what you want it to do. AI should be able to remove that whole area. Personally, I think right now, a lot of people are focused on AI helping you do things with the current interfaces. But I think the next generation of this technology, I don't know when it's coming, probably in the 2-3 year time frame, you no longer need UIs on apps. They're just data access tools, as we call it in the AI agent world. And then like UI can either be skipped and you just voice language and the LLM can interface with all your apps and do all the work for you, or a dynamic UI could be generated. There's a term being kicked around now called generative UI. Not many people are talking about it yet, but I love the concept. I talked about this like 2 years ago. Fixed rigid UI apps are like going to be a thing of the past. Apps are going to be dynamic. They're either going to just do the work for you, or they're going to present you a customized, created on the fly UI specifically to the exact task that you need right now. That's like a no-brainer. That's coming in right away. So back to your question, does this kind of destroy the need for iPhone or something? You're defining iPhone by the interface and the apps. I actually don't think of it that way. Apple's a computing company, and I think of the future of computing and humans, and that it's going to get closer to your body, more and more to your body. I mean, we're talking Iron Man or Cyborg, and at that point, iPhone is just your the CPU, the GPU, the compute power on your body. It's the power system, the networking system. It's the extra sensor. It's all of that. Apple's definitely one of the leaders in wearables right now. So I think they're very well positioned to continue to be like the hardware connectivity to humans moving forward. So no, I don't think so. And then the other thing that I just about this today, actually, it looks like OpenAI is being pretty friendly with Apple, actually. So like all the videos, they were using iPhones on everything.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it was. I could be wrong, but all the videos I watched, it's iPhone.
It's all iPhones, and apparently they are doing this release even just before Google doing this.
That's right.
Google I/O. So I think they are. They have some beef with Google.
That's definitely a jerk move. So they used all iPhones. They announced a new Mac application, a version of ChatGPT that will have a feature that you can not only screen capture and send that with your prompt, but you can actually turn on a streaming mode where it starts streaming your whole desktop to the service while you're working. That's just crazy. You're basically literally like watching over you as you work now. Man, just imagine you're gonna be sitting there working and sudden GPT is going to tell you, oh, you did that wrong, or you should open another app.
I'm wondering how OpenAI is going to work with Apple, and they like what's the business model will be like. Who is going to charge who? That
is interesting.
What do you think about the Apple strategy in the long term regarding AI and regarding wearables, or maybe even like XR stuff like Vision Pro stuff?
I'll skip the Vision Pro stuff today because that's a big topic. But let's talk about WWDC and Apple AI. Again, these are just my thoughts, but a lot of this is very clear already. There's a lot of public information already. Apple actually had a machine learning research website that not many people know about, that they've been publishing a lot of data to. One of them, and they've even released a model, OpenELM, I believe, and it's a model really designed to run on these on iPhone. There were some articles that have been doing some testing on it, and they're very focused on the traditional kind of LLM testing, the current test metrics. And they said, oh, it's not as accurate, it's not as good, it's not even as fast as the other models, but it's better for Apple knowledge stuff, like knowledge about the Apple operating system and how to use Apple stuff. And I was like, man, just think about what you just said when you said that. That doesn't mean that Apple is not as good as that. It means that that's what Apple is choosing to make that good at. So it's a foreshadow of like what they're planning. So this is what I think they're going to do is everyone's pretty much assumes now they're going to run some kind of on-device LLM. I assume it's going to be their own LLM and it's their own like whole design. They're not just going to like drop OpenAI on their devices. And then they're going to take advantage of their values and their advantages, which are privacy and Apple Silicon. So the inference model and the whole model, everything will be designed and coordinated with the new neural engine cores that just came out this year. I assume they've added some functionality to those cores that really speeds up the inference ability. And then they're going to focus on training these models. Of course, they have to have basic language understanding, but it doesn't take much training to be able to speak English for these LLMs. But they're going to train a lot on understanding and interacting with your phone. So they're going to train it deeply on iOS functionality. Like anything that their code has like access to internally, they're going to train it on all these different hooks. And then I think they're also going to give access to these models to all your applications. So, Bank of America, Uber, Airbnb, E-Trade, Coinbase, what else? Your
Spotify.
calendar, your photos, every single thing, right? They're going to give it access to that. And then they're going to create a really, really great RAG system to be able to pull what they need on the fly. And then really, really important piece is people understand the iOS UI. So in the settings, you're going to have permissions for every single app of like which one you want to let whatever they call Siri 2. I don't know what they're going to call. That's another topic. I hope they rename it, but we'll just call it Siri 2 for now.
Okay.
Siri, they'll be able to set permissions for each one, and then that'll make people comfortable with it. And I think developers, they're going to create an API for developers. Apple is just a hardware and OS company in the end. They depend on their developers. So developers will be able to define what we call tools in the AI agent world. They're basically just API. They're going to be very, very strongly annotate and explain to the Siri 2 how to use those APIs and tools. And the local LLM should be able to do some really, really complex tasks, actually. People don't know this right now, but you can actually go on ChatGPT and ask it how to like write a shortcut using the iOS shortcut system on how to do some like complex scripted stuff. ChatGPT will spit out a whole like list of how to write your shortcut. So if you think a more structured version of that, the on-device LLM will be able to come up with that shortcut list and actually execute on it very, very easily. I think it's the core of their plan. And then now to answer your question about like how they're going to interact with OpenAI, I think for more general knowledge and more kind of like the math problem stuff that we were doing, when they're running their inference and when they can detect that their local model doesn't have there's just too sparse of data, there's not enough information to give a really reliable high probability answer, I think they're just going to kick it off to the cloud and one of these other services, just like search right now, right? Spotlight, when you do Spotlight, something local, then you get some results. But if it's more like a Google type search that you ask Spotlight, it literally just shows you Google that Google paid to default. So, and then you can even choose the different providers. So,
I think so. Yeah.
Same thing. They're going to kick off the more general stuff to OpenAI, Gemini, whoever you have chosen. And then they're going to make sure that it's branded really clearly that these are OpenAI results, these are Google results, so that when there's hallucination, because there's still a ton of hallucinations. We haven't solved this in AI yet. Apple is not going to want responsibility for that. Apple prides themselves on preciseness, accuracy, and like on reliability. So this is not a reliable technology at this point. So I think Apple will be okay with that as long as they branded it as someone else's.
That's so Apple. I mean, the way that you list all these features, I can already imagine there's a Siri 2 here, and it might really be like that. All these privacy things and all these restricted access, but very thoughtful. I mean, you have to have this so that people can trust to use it.
Yeah. And I think your business relationship question, obviously, Apple is, they try to be fair. It's an open platform, right? So you're going to be able to plug in whichever LLM you want into there, but there's going to be payment for who's the default engine. That'll definitely be, someone's going to have to pay for that. It's going to be a bidding war between Facebook, Google, and OpenAI. The rumors the last couple of weeks have been going back and forth. At first, people were saying, oh, Apple's signing with Google. Now it's like they're signing with OpenAI. If you ask me, I don't think there's any way OpenAI is going to get outbid. They have to hold that. They have infinite resources and access to capital right now. And they're ahead of Google, and they need to keep their thumb on Google and stay ahead of them. So they cannot let Google get into Apple and be the default LLM, the default cloud LLM, because that would just be too much data, too much use case, that will be sent to Google that they can improve their products. I don't think there's any way OpenAI is going to give them that chance. Like no matter how much, whatever money you have to pay, they need to pay it.
Yeah. But
What
I
do you
think
think?
they don't really. I mean, there might be some question regarding who Apple will finally choose, but I don't think Apple has too many options when it comes to China.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's
Like
Baidu. I think it's Baidu.
what's going to happen in China for all this? Like we all talk about OpenAI and Google in the Western world, but there's some countries, including China, where they're not even usable yet. So obviously, Apple will not be able to rely on them in those
Right.
countries, right?
Either is
So
I think only Bing, Microsoft's Bing, and then Baidu can provide this kind of services. But actually, Bing is using OpenAI's services for AI, and then OpenAI is not available in China. So it seems that the only choice you have is like Baidu.
I don't expect Apple to roll out a cloud mass knowledge mass LLM service until the hallucination issue is
Right.
much better. I don't know how far away that is. That might be 1 year away or 3 years away. But once that starts to be solved, at that point you might see Apple release their own. Man, people don't understand like Apple is working on everything. They just don't tell you and they don't release it until it's ready to be released. It's not like all these other companies that show you all the work along the way, right?
Right.
So Apple is building their own. The research already shows they're building their own LLMs. They have their. You guess they're having their own version of ChatGPT. How far apart is it from ChatGPT? I can't imagine that whatever they're doing internally is any worse than what Facebook and Google are doing, right? Like there's not.
Of course, because they are open source, so at least they have to be at the same level.
Yeah, because a lot of these companies, the culture of AI the last decade has been to open source everything, right? And it's been a very academic world. Like Transformer, the foundation of all this is the Transformer model, right? And everyone there's no secret there. Anyways, that's my thought. So local LLM to use your device and have access to your data in a very controlled way. And then anything that goes beyond what that's really trained to do, which is like use your device, it's just going to kick it off to the cloud and one of these services. And then the services will pay big money to be the default. So that's my prediction. We'll see how close I am.
I think maybe there will be there will be an announcement in WWDC soon.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much, Roger, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Again, Roger is a tech media whiz, founder of Migo Studios, a virtual production company, expert in all things VR, AI, and in China. And then the funny thing about Roger is he's still playing World of Warcraft now after 15 years, or have you actually finally stopped?
For the Alliance.
And then if you want to find him, he's on LinkedIn at Yang Xiao Tong. And you can reach out to him, chat with him there about all these topics or other topics as well. So thank you, Roger. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yep.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
So what do you think Apple is going to be doing in AI? Leave a comment below with your thoughts and ideas. And subscribe to Hanley's Tech Venture and join me next time when another guest speaker joins me to comment on WWDC and what Apple announces in AI.